We have to be.
Sorry.
Hello, Marrio. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Tú ves un trípode azulito por arriba de la
I'm
mesa.
not good with time. I need to know when it is. Well, is it 12:30 or something?
That's 12.
It's 12. 12. So I think.
You got the 105.
And so we have about 1 hour. Okay. So the plan. Did anyone have a chance to look at the homework? No? Not yet? Okay. So we have to remember we must have time to look for the homework. The basic idea here is for you to do something with your brain. And it's not here. It will be in your house. You're going to think. Let me see if I can give you an example.
Síguelo con la cámara. Lo que tú ves por ahí es donde está el ojo de la cámara.
Okay. I have created something I call the It Sounds Like system. I think it's a wonderful system. And I can lecture now to you, or I can give you a video to watch tonight. And when you come back, you can show the exercise that I have planned for this. So that's my plan. I'm going to give you the video. Now, if you're not able to see the video in your house, it's okay because Mercy. Mercy or Mercedes? Mercedes. Oh, that's right. Your email is Mercy. Okay, right. Mercedes has the video. The video, I think, is 5 minutes. If you want, we can watch the video together, but I want to try to make the flipped classroom. What is flipped? What does it mean, flipped? Did you guys know something? Inverted. What is inverted? Right. What is inverted? Why do we call it flipped classroom?
Upside down.
Yeah, it is upside down. What is upside down? The procedure, okay. So describe to me what the flipped classroom, what is the procedure? Okay, let's start. What is the traditional procedure? Oh yeah, there's homework. Okay, right. So first 5 minutes, maybe that, and then.
Maybe we can follow a brainstorm procedure or
Okay.
step as part of motivation
Sure.
within the introduction phase of the class.
Right.
10 or 15 minutes, and within 12 minutes or 40 class, and then the evaluation, partial, final,
A lot better than the traditional in USA. When I'm thinking of a traditional class in the USA, we have usually 45 or 50 minutes, and the teacher stands up and says, get out your notes, I'm giving you a lecture. 30 minutes lecture. And then maybe there's some questions. The students go home and they do some work. Well, the flip is something that we turn this around. The lecture is no longer in the classroom. The lecture is at home. And the next day when they arrive, I have 45 minutes now to watch them work together in a peer or in a group. I'm watching them. They're working. They're interactive. They're interactive. Yeah, okay. I had written something like interactive, so I'll put that on the board here. So traditional or interactive. The interactive room, classroom. Or maybe you start the class with a little lecture, but then you go immediately into student work. So in the traditional, much of the time is with the lecture. I'm talking in USA. I hear you guys have a better system down here in many classes. You have a bit more animation. But the flipped classroom takes the lecture and sends it home. Now, one of the ways to send something home in the United States is we put the video on YouTube and then the student watches from home. That's what we're doing. I have some ideas how this can work in other countries without YouTube, without internet. Even in the United States, there are some people who don't have internet in their house. So we try something else sometimes. And one of the methods is if the person has a computer in the house, if there's a computer in the house, we can go to USB, thumb drive. You use USB and they take it home. Sometimes I will send a CD home. So, and that's what I hope to do with you guys, send a CD to your house. Perhaps it doesn't work for you because your computer is not working, maybe it's too late tonight, you don't have no time to watch it tonight. So maybe in another room you can watch it. But the idea is that this class is only for interaction. Because tomorrow when you walk in, this will be on the table. Whatever's inside here. Well, and then because you watch the video, you will walk in and you will open the box and you will show me what you saw on the movie. And that's the kind of action you can get with a flipped classroom. I said I put the homework up there, but I will talk to you right now. It's pretty simple. I think we can see it from here. Describe steps. Okay? I want you to think about what I said. Just write down what you think the flipped means. That will be the first part of the homework. Second part. I want you to think about a small lecture. For me, when I'm teaching English, we are all English teachers here? Yeah? Okay. So, for instance, one of my favorite lessons T or D. So,
Mejor método para aprender inglés en el mundo.
how do we pronounce stop?
Stop.
Stopped. So, you put a little T there. Stopped. Okay. How about this one?
Right.
Right. Right. That what's causing it, we will discover is what letter here is. And this one, the P makes it go T. How about this one? Grab. 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 And we don't say B. Two exceptions. Started. Interesting. Because with stop, one. Stopped. One word. But here, start. Started. You headed out the door. Or here comes the call. He headed. So on the video, the camera is pointing here at the piece of paper. And I just go through the words. I think I've been talking now maybe for 2 minutes about this. Finish. The students watch that, and then tomorrow I'm going to put these words on the board, and they have to stand up and duplicate these marks. So I'm giving you an example of a short lesson. I don't, if you want to use this lesson, fine. But I'm sure you have 15 little lessons that you can give. Small differences that you want to show. Another one that I like is see that this right here changes when you add an E. Because you have a word like lose. Right? But then when you have this one, loose. This is this. So there will be exceptions, but eventually they will find a rule that they have to be careful. It's not only this, it's not only this. This would be eliminated. I can see something just each day, maybe 2 years. I'm not saying that that's for everybody. Another way this is flipped, it can all be paper. You could have this on the wall and say, tomorrow's lecture is there, study it. So they can go and write it all down and they take it home. It's still a flipped classroom because I have a lecture. So, I have to adjust my mind coming into a situation where the students are inner, but I still feel Mario, are you wanting to describe your interpretation of flip?
Well, sure.
Yes. I love it. I love this.
Okay. I know that we are a lot more closer than American are in doing that. This is basically what we've been doing for a long time in Cuba. Now, this idea, what it does is, if we say that most students need fully guided instruction, which is the presence of the teacher or the tutor there, mostly when they're going through the skill phase where they have to acquire new abilities with the language or skills, flipping the classroom that makes all the sense in the world. If we do, like we do say, suppose we're teaching English, because English is a foreign language, and we have a presentation class, and we're going to have dialogues to run by, and then we're going to have a couple of exercises, so we're doing a spectrum, we're doing enterprise, whatever. It's all the same thing. You do have, you're figuring it out, you're saying true or false, you want to check comprehension to the text. And then we're going to have a ways to say it session, or whatever they call it, whatever method it is. And we're going to send the students home, and they're supposed to do some practical work at home, and then they're going to come back the next day, because we're probably going to have to report plays in the classroom and stuff. And when the student is home, he's actually trying to practice. He doesn't have anybody else to practice at home, unless he's lucky to have a daddy or a mom that speaks English. And he has doubts, and then he's frustrated because he doesn't have a teacher or a cell phone to call and say, how do I pronounce these, or how do I say this, or what's the correct grammatical pattern here. So in the time when we really have to be there, we're not there. The student doesn't have the teacher there. Now, if we do the opposite, if we make a recording, or we give out the cassettes, or whatever we have, the tapes, or the MP3s, and we send the student home and say, what all you're supposed to do is to take a couple of listens to this, try to understand and work out with the comprehension exercises, which are the easy ones, just for live comprehension. And then when you come tomorrow, we're going to do here the assignment, and we're going to do all the skills exercises, in which I'm going to be paying close attention to the pronunciation, your training, how you do the per word, how you do the peer-to-peer thing. Now, when the student needs the teacher is there, and instead of being lecturing for some 45 minutes or maybe 20 minutes, we are now working full-time on developing skills that are needed by the student, and we are always there for them. So it's an idea of saying we have been paying lots of attention to the presentation of content in the lecture type, and we then don't have the student for the develop the skills moments, which are really the most important. Because since we teach English, and whatever you teach, you're asking for people to develop either acquire knowledge or develop skills while you acquire knowledge, which is the case of English learners. So I think that it's a pedagogical strategy or an approach that could render a lot for the teacher and for the improvement if we can do it this way. So it's just give it a try one day, say, I'm going to flip this classroom, this is what you're going to do today, and if you do have a problem, the lessons are here in a CD, I have copies, or you can take it home, or whatever, if you have the books to this, and we're going to work all the assignment part here in the classroom. And I feel that that is a push ahead for the students. So that's basically what the whole approach is. Now, when I say that I know that we've been doing that, that's because as I recall that we used to teach here, there was a lot of the practical words that were planned to become actual classes. So we don't lecture all the time. We do have seminars, we do have presentations, we do have phases where the students have to come and work in groups or work in pairs. So I know that we devote some part of our teacher to student time to those activities. So we are halfway in what the flip in the classroom would normally be as an approach, which seems to be new for Americans.
Would you like to say something about 1992 and how Americans think that this is a very young thing?
I was about to present my thesis exercise in 92 for my 5th year graduation. And I had this professor who unfortunately died, and he said, why don't we want to do a new technique that I have learned, which has really worked. And I remember we were doing the spectrum by the time. And he said, well, let's present a class. That was going to be my model class at the end of the year. He said, let's present the class by starting the class with a ways to say in session. We will not present the initial dialogues or anything, nor neither the live comprehension. We're going to go straight into the ways to say, which is the practical work. So we would have a student doing this practice, And let's see what happens when we go into the presentation phase. Because I feel they're going to have a deeper understanding, because we have started from the practical side to go to the theoretical side. And of course, we did all that flip in the classroom. And I did present that. I know there was a pause for like an hour. Because, you know, we had actually Guillermo Acosta from Guantanamo was there, Eddie from Molino was there, so quite a few people, and they were all saying, well, it doesn't make any sense to do it like that. So you have to give all these pedagogical things like, yeah, you know, this can work because this is here, this is that. And it works. And they said, well, all right, this seems to be good, we'll try it. And that was 92. So that's 20 years ago, and there were people already here in Cuba speaking about how can we invert the order in which things happen in the classroom for the benefit of a better understanding. So we've been ahead of these guys for a long time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I always learn something from Marrio. So, I'm not sure. I have high expectations. But the most valuable time that I've spent here is one-on-one with people who've been able to talk with me. And so I'm very happy to take questions. I think the important thing about Flip the Classroom is actually doing it and taking the time to think about it. What angle should the camera be? What will I have on the paper? What do I write before the camera starts? What do I write while the camera is moving? So that's the sort of thing I want you to think about when, for example, on my thing here, when it had these words, it's very boring for someone to watch you write the word has. So the word has, gas, its, use, bus, loose, lose, all of those would already be on the paper to start. Because this is not watch the teacher, no. Okay. So you might start, this is the way I would have done this lesson. I would have started with all of this, and only by talking, I might start with S or Z. Boys follow something that is moving. Their eyes have more, I don't know, cones or rods, I'm not sure. But they look for things that are moving, most boys. Most women notice changes in color. They notice, Steve, this is very disorganized. That's the sort of things that would be noticed, right? It would be so much better if each of the words could be all in a row, you know, something like this. I agree. So, it depends. I mean, I sometimes will customize and have two different videos, one for boys, one for girls, just for fun. And some of the girls tell me, I like the other one better. But this grab thing, same thing. I would have the words on the paper first, then turn on the camera, and I would write T or D. Sometimes I'll have my face in here too. If it's a pronunciation thing, I want them to see stop, stop, stop. And the camera zooms right in on that so they can see. And arrive. And I'll repeat it so that they get a chance to with enough pause. These are the issues that I hope that we will struggle with tonight. If you can't do it tonight, fine. You will have my email. And my hope is that we will continue this discussion. I want to offer a certificate for this program upon completion of your portfolio. For me, I think there needs to be at least 3. See, I've done 1, 2, that's 2 videos, right? And then there would be a 3rd one that I would decide. How about families That's a complicated one, that's true. Families of past, like you got, there's that wonderful pattern. I love that pattern where you get ride, rode, ridden, and then you have right. It's interesting, this becomes wrote, and then we go back, I, and there's two T's. Aha, family. Ooh, nice. And so, maybe I will present a little family on video. So that would be 3. That's what I'm expecting from you guys if you want to have the certificate. Unfortunately, this is not a certificate for attending. No, I don't do that. I want you to be able to have something in a portfolio, and my agreement with you is I want every teacher who wants a YouTube channel, you must have a YouTube channel. And I know it looks crazy. It's like, Steve, how the hell we're going to get a YouTube channel down here? Come on. But he's down here like once every 3 to 6 months. You guys will come by here. You'll have a little CD that, here, get this to Steve. And so I'll receive it back. I'll make a little YouTube channel for each one of you individually, and you'll have your 3 videos. This is part of your portfolio. I'll email you the link. You can add it to your resume, to your signature. Anybody you communicate in Spain or somewhere else, they'd be able to go and see this. Suddenly, you become a distance teacher. What happens is that there will be somebody who finds it. You can put your email address clearly in the video or whatever, and they'll be, and you guys can receive email, right? If it's a small attachment.
Yes.
So why not have a distance student who says, hey, I like your style. Can you watch us teach Spanish? And some people say, well, Steve, why do you do this free? Because you can arrange for PayPal, this sort of thing. I say, no. My idea is that if I give some time to someone, maybe that someone will help one of my students, because I have some students in Brazil who follow everything I post up and say, Steve, it was too long. I said, okay, I'll make it shorter. And then, through Giulio in Florianopolis, and he has like 3 people in his class, and then his professor, Jair, sometimes comes. They're going to have the World Cup 2014. I have some students in Fort Lauderdale that want to go to World Cup. I arranged it. Virgilio is having some of my students stay at his house. That's for me more than they could pay me money for. Now I have my students thinking, because to fly to Brazil is one cost, but the hotel during World Cup, oh, come on. Oh, I know. So it's like, that's the biggest cost. My students are staying down there. Do you think I'm a popular teacher? Oh, yeah. So, it's to make you, how to say, it adds a dimension. And, I'm here because I have, I guess, attracted some attention. And that to me is wonderful. It just makes me so happy to be able to talk with colleagues. I have to admit, I have tried. He's the only teacher, my colleague, who has listened as long as you have. So I feel very special, and thank you very much. Sometimes it's important to know when to stop talking. I love to talk, so it's not that if you have questions, please come after. If you want to ask me now, that's okay too. If we have a little time, I did want to tell you a little bit about these other things. One of the things is, Now we need lots of music in the background. Mario's shooting from that angle. I'm going to shoot from this angle. What we're going to show you is how does this really fit into the picture? How does all of this electronics fit together? I mean, this is not about technology. I know you came here because, ooh, technology in the classroom. Wow, wonderful stuff. Even the book that I have presented is technology in the classroom without the internet. Flipping the classroom. It sounds like computers, video, wonderful. But in fact, what else will we do after we flip the classroom? What is underneath? Why are we flipping the classroom? I mean, I have my answer and I'll just keep talking. But normally it would be interaction now, right? We put the student in the center. That's my thesis here. All of this magic with the internet, using tools in the classroom. The reason we do it is not to have tools in the classroom. The reason is we want the student to have motivation. The student, we're listening to the student. We're creating around the student. And for this, I ran into this book called The Big Picture. I have been very lucky. This book is 8 years old and has been forgotten. There are 80 stories in here. It costs $26 and it's 200 pages and it has been forgotten. Fine. I'm getting it translated into Spanish and I want anyone who wants to help me make this book very popular in Latin America. It's specifically about high school, ages 14 to 18. This may not be your area, but we all went to high school. So, you know at least one principal, one director of a high school. And if you can find another one, excellent. We call it a blurb. I don't know, do you guys know that word? Blurb? It's like a little something that's positive. I read this book and found it very useful. Oscar Garcia, Benito Juarez High School, Mexico, right? So that's the kind of thing I need. It will also be very nice to have a teacher response, of course, like, oh yes, this is very nice. I recognize some of the techniques from my high school experience. Because here in Cuba, we use the interpersonal approach, something like this. I mean, because in the United States, we have rejected the idea that a small school is a good idea. In the United States, it's impossible to see what I see on Ayestaran. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I'm walking down and I see a little group of little students, and over here, there's a building, and there's a little group of bigger students. And you go here, and then you go here. Perfect. And so, it took me, this is where the music comes, inside the guy who is Mr. Technology. Oh, I love my USBs. Inside is a small school. This school, Highland Park High School. That's right. Highland Park High School, Hawks. This is the guy, Enrique Gonzalez. I heard about him. I heard he was a principal. I went to see his school. He let me sit in the classrooms. I listened to him talk to his teachers. guiding them to stop the lecturing, guiding them to put the student in the center. Let's see what will work for the students and individual students. And then a second guide is Mr. Eusenis. He's at the Oxbridge Academy in Palm Beach, Florida. Projects. Another aspect that puts the student in the center, because who chooses the project? I hope not the teacher. I want the student to say, you know, I really am confused about the Korean War. I want to study it. Great, let's do that. Go do a project. He taught me how to do that. So this is my tribute. If you like the information you're receiving, it's because of these two guys. You could also write down their email addresses, and that would be very good payment. You could write to them and say, hey, that guy Steve that you taught, I really like him. He mentioned your name, and we hope that we can arrange email exchange between your class and my class. You guys have this term, pen pal. Come on, let's do it, right? I'm giving you 2 classes. All right, he's got a whole school, 80 students, 80. The entire high school, 80 students. Very small family. And those kids, I think 3 of the students have a passport. They're not traveling. But they can travel with the internet. And that's where you guys can help. Because you have students, eventually I hear they get an email address. Is it 3rd year?
Yep.
Yeah, 3rd year. So get those 3rd years to maybe write to some of these teenagers. Hey, how's it going?